Hello there, and welcome to another episode of 50 Shades of Grey, where I am joined on today's episode by Lisa McFarland, who is a relationship coach. Thank you for joining me, Lisa.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. So the reason that I wanted you to come on, Lisa, we spoke on our Instagram pages, and I'll put all Lisa's details on there as well, so you can check Lisa out, is that I give an opinion on dating, obviously, but the whole purpose of dating is to actually get to a relationship. And that's probably where my experience will end. As I said to you just now, this podcast will probably last a lot longer than a lot of my relationships. So that's where I wanted to ask you a few questions and give your experience, if it's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited.
So first of all, just an opening question. How, because I do like the term relationship coach as opposed to a relationship expert, which a lot of people label themselves with. How do you perceive the difference in that for you?
Well, the word expert gives me anxiety, so that's why I think coaches, you lean on your training. Someone said to me, "You've been in a relationship for 34 years. When do you get to call yourself an expert?" I said, "I'm going to go with whenever you stop having arguments, or I'm only joking. I'm only joking, but I don't think the length of your relationship can say whether you're an expert or not." But yes, no, I'm a life coach, and I choose to specialize in relationships. And because we're life coaches, we are able to pull on our own experience. So obviously, I pull on my 34-year relationship and things that we've been through and things we've overcome and raising 3 children and all those sorts of things. So I absolutely love my job. I love it, love it, love it. Couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Am I right in saying that you got into this through your own relationship anyway? Is that correct?
Yeah. That is correct. So my husband and I have another business together. And I keep saying 7 or 9 or 8 years ago, but it maybe could be more than that, because you know how we'll miss those like few years there in the middle for a minute. So a while ago, our business was going through just a bit of a change, and it was hard work, and it was exhausting, and it was and we had 3 teenagers, and my mummy had passed away, so we didn't have any help, and we just got ourselves a bit, we would say, lost in the weeds. We just got ourselves talking about the same thing over and again, arguing about the same thing over and over again, talking about the business at 11 o'clock at night, forgetting to go on dates, just really forgetting to cherish the relationship, just taking the relationship for granted. And I just said, look, you know what, let's go and talk to somebody. Let's get a little bit of help and get us back on track here. So we went 3 times, and she just turned it around for us. One of the things I remember saying was, you two aren't allowed to talk about your business after 6 p.m. at night. And I was like, that is impossible. Like, we cannot do that. And she was like, no, you are. That's what you're going to do. So we did. We just didn't talk about it after 6 p.m. at night. And just that tiny wee tweak, just everything, all started to slot back into place, She taught us lots of other things, and then I went and trained as a life coach and did my training for relationship coaching, and here we are today.
And your relationship is still going healthy and strong, as well as your business then?
Yeah. Well, I just kept saying, I think we're about 25 years together when we went to therapy, and I just kept saying, I have no idea how we even got this far. I have absolutely no idea how we even got this far without knowing what our love language was, without knowing what our attachment style was, without knowing how to have good, healthy conflict. I have no idea how we got here. Joking, obviously, but kind of, yeah.
So you've used a lot of words there that obviously I think have become more common in terms of love language and attachment styles. And do you think those are just miscommunications in relationships where people don't have those conversations in the early stages? Or do you think it's just...
I think all these tests are free online. So you can do these all free online. I think all these little tests and investigations and tools that you can use when you're building your relationship, I think they just give you language. I think they give you language to start a conversation. So there's 5 love languages are time, touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, and gifts. So, say we do the little test and our love language comes out as time and gifts. It opens up a conversation and says things like, what was the favorite gift? What's your favorite gift I ever bought you? Did you like that really expensive thing, or did you actually just like it when I brought you home that little packet of sweets the other day from the shop? I think it gives us language to start the conversations. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So are there sort of love languages that don't match? For like, like they say a bit like star signs, like, Libra shouldn't go with, I don't know, Sagittarius, for instance.
So my love language is time and words of affirmation. My partner's love language is time and acts of service. Okay. So the time thing, it just happens. It just happens naturally because it's both our primary love language. Like our children say, it's ridiculous how much time you two spend together. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. No one needs to spend that much time together. But neither of us think it's excessive. So that just works for us, I mean, our big children laugh at us like, if he comes home today and says he misses you, I am going to be sick. I'm like, but he won't miss. He's been away all day. He's like, at his work one day. It's not like on an oil field for 3 weeks or anything. But he did miss me. And, we were together all weekend. They're like, oh, shut up. Just please shut up, Mama. Please shut up. So that's our love language. It happens very naturally. It happens very easily. Mine is my secondary is words of affirmation. So what we tend to do is we love how we want to receive love. Make sense?
Yeah.
So I will say to him, that looks great on you. Oh, that's a new shirt. Thanks for doing X, Y, or Z. And he'll be like, okay. It's nice, but doesn't really speak love to him. Elliot, if he's out cutting the grass and I make him a cup of coffee and take him 2 digestives and a cup of coffee, you would think I was the Queen of Sheba. His love language is acts of service. The same is true if I make myself a cup of coffee and don't offer him one, it makes him sad.
Would it not make you the Queen of Sheba if you went out and cut the grass for him?
No, he wouldn't like that because his love language is acts of service. His love language is acts of service, so he wouldn't like that. So, do you know what I mean? So it's not natural for me to speak love via acts of service. It's not natural for me. Okay, but I love him. We're building a relationship. I want to make him happy. He wants to make me happy. I want to connect with him. So it's easy just to do those tiny little things that maybe just don't come naturally, but you can do them because we love each other and we care for each other and we're building a great relationship. So the opposite is true. My secondary is words of affirmation, and that's not really his love language. So he has to work on that. Yeah. He has to really work on his words and say the things and really, just try to make that more in the forefront of his mind. There's a lot of research now, and I've read a little bit about it, but I'm not an expert in this field, about how your love language is either what you received as a child or what you didn't get as a child.
Yeah.
It's not fascinating. Not fascinating. So love languages is always where I tell people to start. It's just a really good conversation piece. I don't care if you actually end up saying, we don't believe in that. Do you know what? You're talking about it. You're talking about it. You're talking about your relationship. And I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point, actually, because I think obviously, we growing up in different times, and I think one of mine languages of love, if you like, is probably time. As you saying, I appreciate someone putting time in, and that's probably looking back. With my mum, she was single growing up, had 3 kids, had no time at all, and not just because she was out working all the time. So I know with Zach, the one thing that I give loads to him is time. So that's quite interesting, actually. And I think we then pass that on to our kids as well.
Yeah. And you can do this test with your children from their 4 years up. It saved my life with my teenage girls. I was loving my girls in the same way, and they have totally different love languages. My eldest has the same love language as me, so that's just very natural for me to love her that way. And my second daughter has a totally different love language. Her love language is acts of service and gifts. So when they come home from school, Our oldest would be talk, and then I would try to get the same out of our other daughter. What happened today? How did it? And she needed to go up to her room for a while and sort of decompress for a while. Same thing, cup of coffee, cup of tea, and a biscuit up to her. And then you got the sure, Mummy, sit down there, and I'll tell you about my day.
Oh,
Just
well,
two
that's
different.
interesting.
I highly recommend it for teenagers. Really good.
Because I know, obviously, having teenage girls is very different to teenage boys. So I've only experienced sort of that growing up as teenage. But when I speak to sort of a lot of people with teenage girls, that they always say, God, it's really hard work. So maybe that's a really good tip for them as well.
I think it's really different. I have a son. We have a son as well. I think he's 16. Dear love him. This is your mummy's job when you're a 16-year-old boy at school. Like, he does very well. I think it's just totally different. I think it's just, from my experiences, it's just different. It's just different. He's much more go with the flow. His saying at the minute is, "Oh, see where the wind takes me." He's much more. Girls are much, they don't do that when they're teenagers. So it's just different. But he knows what my love language is, and I know what his love language is. And his friends were all here one night, and he made them do their love language test. Well, I laughed so hard. It was like 15-year-old boys. This was about 6 months ago. Like 15-year-old boys sitting in my kitchen doing their love language test. I was like, what has the world come to? But they loved it.
Oh, it's great. It's great knowledge for them to have as well, isn't it? I think growing up. So when two people first come to see you, they walk in. Can you get an idea straight away of thinking, I can save this, or do you think, not so sure about this, or is it every case is different?
So all my calls are online. So it's just like this. So I did have a little room that I rented before COVID, but since COVID, I went online in COVID, and I will not be going back face to face because it just limits you so much. I mean, I coach people all over the world, so it's all online. And when couples come to me, I always say on my Instagram, please don't wait until the wheels fall off. Come either at the beginning of your relationship, so you want to get a really good foundation and a really good start, like almost invest in your relationship at the start, just like you would invest in a wedding or a mortgage. Come at the beginning, get the tips and tools. That makes me so happy when people do that. Or just when you start to see, we're just not as close as we used to, we're not connecting like we used to, we're arguing about silly things we didn't used to, come quickly. Don't wait till the wheels fall off. Yeah, because once the wheels fall off, that's hard to get back on track.
Because that was another question I was going to ask you. If one of the people in the relationship doesn't want to be there anymore, is that sort of sometimes savable, or is it just a case of this has gone too far?
I have had people, so within life coaching and any sort of therapy, I'm sure there's 0 point dragging someone along. It's that old thing. You can take a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink.
Yeah.
So there's 0 point dragging somebody, but people do because they want to save their relationship. I can tell who's been dragged along within a few minutes. And the person who's been dragged along has such resistance to change. It becomes very clear to everybody on the call very, very quickly. The resistance to change, the resistance to develop, the resistance to take any sort of ownership that there could even be something wrong, or that they could have any hand in what's wrong, poor communication, bad conflict style. It becomes very clear very, very quickly. The best clients are the people who come and say, we love each other. We've just got so much on our plate. We have and we just need the tips and tools to make life a little bit easier so we can connect easier. That's the ones we want.
Someone like that, I was starting to get involved. He said, I want to go and see a relationship coach. I don't know, and I don't know if that's a man thing and a typical sort of man's response, but I think I'd kind of be, well, that seems like hard work. Even if it seems like hard work, is this the right thing anyway?
Let me ask you this. How much training did you get to do your job?
Sort of university, 4 years.
And then ongoing training when you're at your job?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. How much training do we get to do relationships?
I feel like I've had a lot of practice. I'm, I'm going to be honest.
A lot of starts.
I've had a lot of starts, yeah. Now, I know you're going to say there's a common theme now. I've worked out the common theme is me already, so I'm good with that. But yeah, no, I've had a lot of starts, yeah.
So you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Before we have our children, we might read some books, download some articles, listen to people on YouTube, you know. But before, I often say, doing a relationship without any education is like trying to build an IKEA flat pack without the book,
Yeah.
you know. And then when it ends, I don't really like the word fail. Then when it ends, you never got any instruction. You never got any instruction on how to do it. And then we beat ourselves up because it ended. There's no job that you would do that. There's no business that you would do that. If you wanted to start a new business tomorrow, Elliot, I'm pretty sure you would go and talk to someone who had done the same thing before. But when it comes to relationships, there's something about that we're just not prepared to do.
So do you find that there is a common time in a relationship where people will come to you, whether it be 2 months, 8 years?
Yeah. A very common time is when you've had your first baby. Be a very common time. Babies maybe getting a year, 18 months, and a couple are like, we're just not where we used to be. We're through that sleepless night thing, and we haven't quite been able to make it back to each other. That would be very common for me in my practice. Very, very common for me. Another very common thing that people come to me is that they can't do healthy conflict. Their communication style is just wrong, and they can't do healthy conflict. And those conflicts are becoming more and more, and just they're not getting anywhere. And a lot of people will say to me, look, what we end up doing is arguing or apologizing for the argument rather than actually, we can't even remember what it was. Can't even remember how it started. But we end up apologizing for the door slamming, the calling names, the distance, the shutting down from each other. We end up apologizing for the behaviors within the argument rather than, can't remember what the first argument was about. That's very, very common.
And is that, it was interesting actually, because one of the guys, Roger, from the show, I was talking to him, I did a podcast with him a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying about his relationship that he had, you know, the success in that. And he said one of the things that they did really well was they always remembered their relationship, he said, when they had kids. So they always made time for each other away from the kids. And from being a spectator to other people's relationships, I think that's when that's a real big problem, is kind of you lose each other in that period. You know, whether classically the guy's working, the woman's bringing up the children, or the guy's bringing up the children, the woman's working, they tend to lose each other. And that seems hard to get back from sometimes.
And I mean, let's face it, we think we're doing the right thing. We're putting our kids first.
Yeah.
We're putting our kids first. But what I tell couples all the time is your children will grow up and leave you. I coach quite a few couples who are at that stage, same age as myself, sort of 50 shades, that sort of age, 50, 55, even people into their 60s, where their children have left home and now they're like, okay, seriously, what are we meant to do here? And we're certainly not, after all this many years, we're not going to go out and try to find someone else. We need this to work. Definitely do that. So what we know is we have to spend at least 90 minutes a week talking to each other. Some guys say, can I split that into 3, Lisa? I'm like, no, that's a full 90 minutes of actual talking.
Oh, God, okay? That's a straight hour and a half in one session.
A straight hour and a half, Elliot, in one session.
That sounds good. Yeah, go on.
You can ease yourself into it, Elliot. You can ease yourself into it, okay? So 90 minutes a week. And that talking, Elliot, hilarious. This is hilarious. This is the first one, Elliot, and we're stuck on this already. That talking, Elliot, and let me just go back here to the relationship status here, Elliot. Sorry. 90 minutes proper talking. That is not, did you get the milk? Is there laundry to be done? Who's getting the kids? This is 90 minutes of proper life stuff. Proper life stuff. Okay.
Explain proper life stuff to me. Because I tell you, I would struggle because I have this with my mum. If I have an hour's conversation with my mum, she will tell me about people I don't know, what they're going through, and I just think I don't know these people, and I lose interest really quickly because it's not associated to me. Selfish, I know, but I don't know these people.
No, absolutely. That I would nearly put that in life admin.
Okay.
I'm talking about, are we planning a holiday this year? Where would you like to go? Where would you love to go on holiday? Like, if you had all the money in the world, where would you love to go on holiday? I'm talking about dreams, aspirations.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about celebrating stuff. I'm talking about stories, oh, you'll never guess what so-and-so said today. It was the hoot. And, something that you're finding, not your mum. I know those conversations, not that sort of conversation. That you'll never guess what they did today. Here's the news saga. Those conversations.
Yeah.
So 90 minutes of good, intense, interesting conversation.
And is that not about the kids either? Because you said that thing about the work, about you're not going to talk about the work after 6 o'clock. I find with some couples, their life is so much around the kids, and every conversation is around the kids. You think, once they're not there, what are you guys going to talk about?
Yeah. We used to do that when the kids were younger. We're going out tonight and we are not talking about the kids. And it takes a minute or two to shift gears.
Yeah.
Now our kids are aware. We just tell each other ridiculous stories about, did you hear what she said today? Oh, dear God, my dear goodness. That's funny now, or I can't cope with that. Don't tell me anymore. I can't, or did, or more like keeping track of them. Who's where? What's happening? Who needs to go to the airport? Those sorts of conversations are good and funny. But yeah, when the kids are wee, you don't want to go out for dinner on a date and listen to conversations about who changed the last nappy. No, that's just silly.
A lot of the people that follow me, as it were, are sort of women 35 over, and a lot are single going into new relationships. Do you deal with a lot of people that are going into new relationships when they're older?
Yes, I would have some people come to me as a one-to-ones. Oh, well, there's other things on the list. Hold on, sorry.
90
minutes. Yeah, you're not getting away with it. You were like, is that at least? No, you're not getting away with it, Elliot. 90 minutes a week talking. He's like, I'm moving on, Lisa. 90 minutes a week talking. You like the other ones maybe a bit better. 90 minutes a week talking. Kissing every single day for at least 6 seconds. And if you can't do a 6-second kiss, that's a proper kiss, Elliot.
That's not being back at school.
Yeah. That's not what I call the drive-by. The mwah, not the Elliot. Proper snog.
Okay.
We call it a snog here. I don't know what you guys call it. 6 seconds. And if you can't do that because you've got little children around or you're living with your parents or something, a 20-second hug. Okay. This is all data. This is all collected. This is all data. There's schools in other parts of the world that actually collect this data on what they observe, relationships that have lasted years and years and years and years and years, and they pick out of them what the couples have done. Okay.
90
minutes, 6-second kiss or hug. A date night a week, which is difficult, especially if you have little ones, but that can be, you get the kids to bed, or if you have teenagers, you say, clear off. It is mommy and daddy's date night. You guys eat later after the kids have cleared off or going to bed. Make a date night in the house. Okay. I like to add on, myself personally, no technology in the bedrooms.
Yeah.
I don't think that's conducive to anything. And carving out one time a week for intimacy, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
Whatever that may be. You can make that whatever you want it to be. But one session a week at least.
See that, but when you say that, and jokes aside, that does sound like all the first dates that you go on, or the first start relationship. So is it about sort of maintaining all the things that you do naturally at the beginning of a relationship, is keeping those going throughout it without losing it? Because what you've just said there is when you first meet someone, quite typically you'll be on the phone for hours when you first meet, and then you'll sort of kiss at every opportunity.
Have you ever heard of spontaneous desire versus responsive desire? Do you know what those? Have you ever heard of those terms? Okay. So when you start going out with somebody, Oh, this is going to be funny, actually. This is going to be hilarious, Elliot. Everybody hang on. This is going to be really funny. So when you start going out with somebody, you have a lot of spontaneous desire, okay? All you guys on the show, the spontaneous desire was hanging out of you all, okay?
Yeah.
It's all chemical led. We call it like the love goggles, lust chemicals, okay? So it's spontaneous desire. The body has taken over, all right? And those spontaneous chemicals, desire chemicals, sorry, I'm cracking myself up before I even got to the end, can last as little as 4 months and as much as 18 months.
Okay.
Okay. So after 18 months, the spontaneous desire chemicals die away. And we have to then move to responsive desire. Okay. And that's a wee bit, you use the word work. That's just a wee bit where we have to start doing those things on purpose that we did when the spontaneous desire was leading it. We have to do them on purpose now because we know it builds a healthy relationship. And there's 2 parts of responsive desire. The first part is seeing your person apart from you. So seeing your person doing jobs around the house, seeing your person dealing with the kids, seeing your person play the guitar, do public speaking, whatever your person's thing is, seeing your person as that. And maybe even just seeing your person at the pub, they've arrived there before you, you've got the drinks in, and you walk in, you're like, there's my person. Okay. That's the first part of responsive desire. The second part of responsive desire is at the beginning of a relationship, when spontaneous desire is on, you don't have to plan sex. You don't have to think about kissing. You don't have to think about holding hand. It all just happens. Okay. So when that dies off, we have to be more responsive. So it's like, we may not necessarily feel like kissing, but actually when we do, this was not your worst idea. We may not actually feel like being intimate or having sex, but actually once we've got this started, this is not your worst idea. Okay. So we have to know about these things if we want the relationship to move from spontaneous desire to responsive. On average, Elliot, how long have your relationships been?
I don't think, to be fair, I don't think there's an average, but I can definitely see there was a connection.
And now you know.
So can a person, say I had a friend,
Say you were asking for a friend, Elliot.
could this friend be a spontaneous addict?
Well, I have heard of them, Elliot. I have heard of them.
I shall tell my friend this information.
You should let your friend know. You should pass this on to those friends.
No, because like I say, like you saying that does resonate things with me.
I saw your little coats turning, Elliot.
Yeah, no, exactly. But not just for me, in terms of when I've been with other people as well, like for them, I think it works both ways. But yeah, I think there is there can be a slight addiction to that first part as well.
People think they've fallen out of love. They've just fallen out of lust.
Yeah. Oh, I 100% agree with that. And I've learned that a lot more as I've got older. Definitely. Yeah. But I think because I'm quite a spontaneous person, I think I've got better at managing my own feelings and not blurting stuff out, which is I've had a tendency to do before. Because and not out of not telling the truth, because you think that's how you're feeling, so it's what you say what you're feeling.
And I'm all for that. I'm all for that. Look, I tell everybody, I'm not a dating coach, but I tell people come to me with broken hearts and that sort of thing and want to get themselves built back up again. I'm here for it. Here's what you have to do, Elliot. You just have to find somebody who thinks you're weird is cool.
Yeah, and I've said the same thing. Yeah.
I'm pretty weird. Like, I'm pretty out there. My hubby thinks it's brilliant. Yeah. People say to me, oh, your hubby is so da-da-da-da. I'm like, it doesn't even bother me. It doesn't bother me. I think it's great.
Yeah, I was talking to someone the other day and they were saying about It was a woman. She was saying about dating, and she thinks she's had enough because and I said it's a bit like when you go to a massive department store. I said everyone is going there for something, but not everyone wants the same thing as you. You just need to find that person that's shopping for exactly the same thing as you, and then it works.
Yeah, exactly. And what we don't do is, you've probably seen my Instagram, I'm all about needs. What do people need? What we don't do is we don't take time to think about, what are my core values? What do I need from a relationship? What do I need from a partner? What could I give to a partner? What do I, if I'm looking for this imaginary partner, what needs do they need that I'd be really good at giving? There's a little bit, we need things like, what are your core values? What are your ethics? And if we're in a relationship with a heterosexual relationship, we need a little bit of leadership from the male in the heterosexual relationship. Same-sex relationships as well. There's usually one takes the lead in one department and one takes the lead in another department. Who's leading what departments? Core values, easy. Go online. It's free. Go online, put in core values, and it's just lots and lots and lots and lots of words and sentences. Pick your core values, okay? Have your partner pick their core values, and hopefully some of those should match. We pick 10, hopefully 5, 6, 7 of them should match, okay? And that's the base of your relationship, okay? That's the base of your relationship, Then after that, it's the ethics part makes me laugh, because it's like, maybe a core value would be to be, financially secure by the time you're X, Y, or Z. So both people would like that, but one person would like it and they're going to rob a bank, and the other person would like it and they're going to work hard. So ethics are kind of the same ethics, okay? And then it's the leadership part. And I think leadership is a tricky one to talk about, because back in the day, I think the male role was protection and finances. It was a wee bit basic, okay? But we need leadership in other ways now, and I'm sure the women who watch this have watched Downington Abbey. But there's the very last scene in the most recent Downington Abbey, season 3. She says it perfectly. We don't need that so much anymore. But what we need is emotional security, to hold our hand, to know that you're there for us, to want to grow and develop with us, and to make those hard decisions together and not be afraid about those hard decisions. And then it's about that wee bit of leadership. It's not just about financial leadership and protection. We want that emotional leadership. We want that growth. We want our relationship to develop, and we would like our partner to be in that with us and lead that.
I find all of it fascinating, actually. I really do. But going back, there was one thing you said there. Is it the same for gay relationships? Is it for heterosexual relationships? So is it all the same problems and people assume the same roles? Or because it's 2 women or 2 guys, do they not have the same conflicts because they avoid like the different sorts of thinking sometimes?
Gay men seem to have excellent communication.
Yeah.
Excellent communication. All the stats, all the data tells us that gay men have excellent communication. I coach a lot of gay couples, and a lot of the problems are the same. Learning how to do healthy conflict. We've got to learn to do healthy conflict. None of us have seen healthy conflict. None of us, I'm sure some people have, seen healthy conflict growing up. But we have to learn how to do that. We have to learn how to have a rupture, stay in the emotional tunnel, and get to repair. Okay. What we tend to do is rupture. And then we were saying earlier, we jump out of that emotional tunnel. We either slam doors or say things we don't mean, or what I used to do was give silent treatment, things like that. We use all these terrible, terrible techniques almost, instead of staying in the emotional tunnel and talking it out and really getting there, soothing the system, all that sort of stuff, and then get to repair. And that's the same world over. That is the same world over. That's the same for people who are in polyamorous relationships, who are people who are in straight same-sex relationships, everybody.
Because people do argue in different ways, don't they? Because some people have got that ability to say the worst things in an argument, just to hurt the other person, where I'll always be very careful about what I say, because you know that once you said something, you're not taking it, you can't take it back. So
it is out there, and it's emotional abuse. It's verbal abuse. It's verbal abuse. To call someone names is verbal abuse. If you did it in the street, it would not be acceptable. It's verbal abuse. If you're with someone and they're calling you names, it's verbal abuse.
Yeah.
And we have to stop that. We have to stop that. Doesn't mean the relationship has to end, but we have to stop that behavior. And the other thing is, what happens is we come back and we say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Well, then how can I trust you that when you tell me you love me, that you do mean it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, listen, I've been fascinated by all of this, and I've actually,
For that friend of yours,
for the friend of mine, obviously, yes. I shall make sure he watches this and remembers it all. But I just wanted to thank you for coming on and sharing all this with us. I'll put your Instagram on here so people can come on and contact you and follow the stuff that you do. But I just wanted to say thank you for joining us on 50 Shades of Grey. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And thank you to everyone for watching, and make sure you subscribe below and share us as much as you can. Appreciate it. Take care. Goodbye.